Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to NavalArt. This game is something that I've covered 3 years ago, and it is a naval builder. You can do a lot in this game. Now back in the day, that's 3 years ago when I first had a look at this game, it already had a very extensive and actually easy to use editor. And nowadays, they have only added more and more and more to this game, including missile systems. As far as I know, this is the only game where you can easily build a warship of, let's say, the more Cold War era, such as this Ticonderoga class, and actually put missile systems on it. So let's first have a look at how you build a ship, and then we're going to have an actual look at some ships that people build, followed by a battle. So we're going to go over to the dock, and this is where you can start having a look at the ships that are either in the game already, or imported through the Steam Workshop. This is one of them, the Ticonderoga class cruiser. Now, you can see that this thing is, well, I'd say beautifully designed. I found this thing on the Steam Workshop, and it just, as far as I'm concerned, looks like the real thing. You got the radars over in the various locations, giving you a very good amount of vision over the area. And a couple of harpoon missile launchers on the stern. You have the missile launchers, which are drawing from, let's say, the magazines. And you have a gun system over there, and a gun system over there, and a helicopter deck there. Of course, this thing is also going to be defended by a couple of CWIS systems, but the beauty of this game is that if you don't like the armament that a ship has, you can always add more. If you go to the weapons tab, you can find a ton of different weapons, and this both includes, let's say, World War I, World War II era, as well as very modern gear. You have tons and tons and tons of different weapons. So if you figure that a Ticonderoga would actually benefit quite a lot from having a 203mm gun, well, you can do that. So let's say put this here. We're going to then go and select it and rotate it a bit, because of course this does not really look that good. Rotate this thing as such. There. First I have to place it down, and then I can rotate it. Whoops. Now you can see exactly how far this thing sticks into the deck. The whole barbette, the whole magazine, it's all rendered. So keep in mind that it's not something that you just plunk down on the deck. It's something that actually needs quite a bit of, let's say, underwater deck space. And now we have an actual, an actual gun system, which is currently parked on the helicopter deck. Does this thing work? Yes, it does. By testing your design, you can go up against an increasingly difficult amount of waves, and you can immediately test your new weapon system. Automatically, the missiles will fire, unless you set them not to. W and S increases/decreases your speed. A and D changes the course of the ship. If you press Control, you unlock the cursor, and over here we have the missile launch menu. I have a couple of missiles, these are the harpoons, but I also have air-to-air missiles, or rather surface-to-air missiles in this case. I'm going to set them not to engage planes, but only engage missiles, because this amount of missiles, this whole list, is what I have aboard, these Standard Missile 6. If you expand your magazine, well, tough luck, you're going to have to make do with the weapon systems that you have left. Does this mean I can actually fire this gun? Why, yes, it does. So I can, let's say, have a look here, and we are still aiming the gun. That's one system, and there is the 305. So this is how easy it is to, let's say, adjust a design that's already there. But how easy is it to design your own ship? Well, the game has a very neat system for that. So I'm going to build a new ship. I probably won't do the whole thing, because you can definitely spend a lot of time. It is a voxel builder. You can build it with blocks, but the game has a far more elegant system, which is the adjustable hull. And the adjustable hull is basically a sort of building block for your ship, allowing you to very quickly set up a standard hull form. So let's say I'm going to go with a width of about, a length of 10 and a width of 10. Forward width is going to be 4. And I'm going to have a backward spread. Yes, fine. Okay, so I'm going to stack this thing forward, and it automatically inherits the properties from the previous block. So now the forward width is going to be, let's say, just about 1. I'm going to say here, and I want to now stack backwards. This is going to be a far longer block, which does mean you're going to have to realign it. I'm going to say this is, let's say, backward with a bit more. We're going to, again, stack one towards the back. That's going to be a very long block. Be careful, because as you're scrolling, you're immediately adapting the type of hull that you're building. Let's make this thing, oh, I don't know, 30. And now I'm going to do that again. Stack towards the back. This thing is going to start, let's say, decreasing. So backwards width is going to go down a bit again, down a bit again. And that should be just about it. Now, it's not exactly the most pretty ship, but it does kind of resemble a hull form, at least somewhat standard. As for the stack forward, I do believe that you can actually round this thing down. Forward spread, oh, which one was it again? It's not the roundness. The game does have a very nice way of making this a very elegant hull, but it is, let's say it takes a bit, there we go. It takes a bit to learn. You just got to set it to 0 manually. Okay, and I can do the same thing here. So we're going to stack this thing backwards. This is going to be a length of 1 with a backwards width of 0. And we got our basic hull form. All right, does this thing float? Well, probably yes, because I didn't put a whole lot of armor onto it. You can, over here, increase the amount of armor up to 140 millimeters. Although if you scroll down, you can go all the way up to 600 millimeters. But keep in mind, armor is heavy. Heavy means less buoyancy, and less buoyancy means less floaty boat. So keep in mind, as you're building this thing, that you might run into trouble. Now, let's put some other systems on it. We're going to have to get an engine, of course. Let's see if a destroyer propeller is something that would actually, yeah. I suppose it might work, but it might not be necessarily sufficient. Now, what I want to do first is have a propeller for that. I think we can make that work with the adjustable hull. I just have to change this thing to have, let's say, a bit more length. So 10. And then I should be able to make this thing rounded. Make it far smaller. That's the forward width. Yeah, we're going to also make the backward width, let's say 1, 1. The height is 1. And then I can move this thing into position. So I can move this thing, and now we have, let's say, something that resembles a propeller shaft. Let's push it slightly farther into the ship, slightly outward. And if I mirror this, I immediately have one on the other side of the ship as well. Is it exceptionally pretty? No, not really. But I am not exactly a great designer, not when it comes to this ship. Or at least not, not when it comes to this game yet. So I want to try and put that onto the propeller, or onto the propeller shaft. I don't believe it is critical. You can just keep it as is. As in, you don't strictly have to put it like this, but I think it does. Well, let's say I'm going to try and make it look somewhat decent. So let's delete this. I'm going to have to make this thing longer. Let's go 20, so we can properly have this thing, well, mostly attached to the ship. Mirror that, and now we have propulsion. Does it work? Well, let's test it. Of course, we're going to start spawning enemy aircraft, but thankfully those are really cheap swordfish that can't actually do anything. It does appear we have buoyancy. Unfortunately, our ship's actually too light for the propellers to be in the water, so we're not actually going anywhere. Also, on the right-hand side here, you can see 4260. That's the amount of structural integrity or hull that you have. And that is important because it goes into the amount of damage that you can take. As for the ship, I want to start stacking some stuff on the top, because we're going to make this thing, let's say, a bit more like an actual ship, as opposed to what I have right now. This thing is going to go stack. Oh, that's still a thing. Okay. I do remember that from the previous iteration. Height a bit less. I want to have that on. I think the grid is slightly off. Yeah, sometimes the thing just doesn't exactly do what I want it to do. So in this case, I'm gonna probably have to move it myself. But it moves by 1 block, doesn't it? Yeah. There. Okay, now I can have this thing be, let's say, wider. And with that, you're going to be more and more building out, let's say, something that resembles a warship. But what I actually prefer to do is take ships that are coming in from the designer, like from the workshop. Because other people are so much better than I am at this that it's kind of off-putting that you go, oh shit, I'm pretty awful at building this ship out. Let's actually go here and stack top. And, well, I suspect that you get the idea. Now, what I can do with the other ships, let's say the Cleveland over here, and this is a really neat feature, is see how other people have built it. There is a replay feature of the building process that's already built in. So this way you can see how the other person that built this particular ship actually went about building it. And I think it's gorgeous. It's just almost as if having a real-life tutorial of, okay, this is how you built that ship out. And you can see that this person used all sorts of different building blocks, started adding the guns. The hull is just about complete, but I think we might come back to that in a minute. Here come the main guns, the secondary guns, we got a lifeboat, we got some funnels, a radar system. Boom, done. And there's the propulsion. Easy as that. Another feature that I think is really cool, and this is especially for those of you who are into, let's say, more 3D modeling, or potentially even have a 3D printer. If you go to menu, you can 3D print this. And this is going to export an object file, which is something you can use then to 3D print, or let's say do more editing about this design. So it's really, really nice that this is implemented, because it means you can build your own ideal ship and then print it. I mean, how about a trimaran Yamato, if you're feeling like it? Something like that, which normally does not have any kind of a model. You can actually model in this ship. You can build it. As for the ships, these are just some of the presets, but there are tons and tons and tons of ships that you can load. There are loads and loads and loads of ships that you can find on the workshop. The ones that I've loaded in, for example, are the vanilla KMS Bismarck. And this is a gorgeous ship. This is not something that you throw together in, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes. Because this thing, I mean, look at the amount of parts for the hull. That is a lot of different parts. And if you're going to go and have a look at the replay, I'm going to speed this thing up a little. Yeah, this this took a while, including all the gun systems, all the color schemes, all the building. I think that this is being used as a placeholder to figure out how tall the ship should be. There's the 16-incher. 15-incher? I think Bismarck had 15 inches. Look at that. Gorgeous. And that's how you build a Bismarck. Just like that. But the sheer amount of detail that you can put into this is something that kind of disqualifies me as a designer for this particular game, because I don't have the patience. I don't have the sense of detail that some people in the workshop have. So I love looking at these things as inspiration and going, okay, so this is how you build the ship. This is how you can do it. It's just that I generally, I don't have the patience to build these. Anyway, let's go and have a look at a battle. Because I, for one, am interested in seeing how well, for example, a Bismarck is going to perform against a Ticonderoga. You might consider that to be an extremely unfair fight. Yeah, you'd probably be right. But keep in mind, the Ticonderoga, in this case, only has a couple of 5-inch guns, and she has a couple of anti-ship missiles. But once those things are expended, those anti-ship missiles, she's going to be up against a ship that has some pretty sizable guns, which are not that likely to run out anytime soon. So I'm going to load the Ticonderoga, and I am going to set this thing up. Now, the way that the game works is somewhat counterintuitive, in the sense that if you want to have a ship as your controllable ship, you load it up in the editor, and then you go back to the main menu. Once there, it has two more slightly confusing buttons, because you got Quick Battle, and you have Battle. And these things are actually reversed. Battle allows you to immediately go to duel any of the ships that are currently in, such as an Iowa, or a Köln, or an Omaha. If you go to quick battle, which arguably I would expect to have the other one, you can actually set up the battle. Okay, so let's go for a battle. I'm not sure if the Bismarck is in here. Oh, how about taking on Yamato? Yamato versus a Ticonderoga. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I bet many, many, many things can go wrong. Target. Defeat the battleship Yamato. Here she is, Ticonderoga, with my with my modded in 305mm gun. Let's lock the target. Press X when you're looking onto the target. There she is. She's at about a 20km range and closing. So I'm going to assume that I am already in range. Now you have keys 1 and 2. 1 is HE, 2 is armor piercing. I am not exactly under the illusion that an armor piercing shell, a 5-incher, is going to do a whole lot when it comes to fighting Yamato. But, well, oh actually, yeah, we're getting some pens. Now, when it comes to health, Yamato here has 124,000 points of health. I have 20,000, of which Yamato has already taken a bit of a chunk. So I think it's time to start adding missiles to this fight. I can use the air-to-air missiles, but I'm not sure if they'll actually have any effect. Yeah, it's not exactly targeting a ship because it's an air-to-air missile. So let's have a couple of harpoons launch. You press Z, you can actually follow these things in. And because they're harpoons, they like to do sea skimming and try to hit a ship at the waterline. It looks like Yamato might be reloading. Well, I can't exactly control the ship right now. Over on the left-hand side, we have armament system, which is functional, but my detection has taken a slight hit. Now, I don't think that a harpoon is really going to do a whole lot of damage when it comes to a heavily armored ship like Yamato. Yeah, we did destroy a couple modules, but we really only took, what, like a couple hundred hit points off of her? Yeah, okay. Let's send all the harpoons. And this is kind of where I might run into trouble, because I have no further harpoons. And as such, I am going to have to rely upon the guns. Which is not necessarily going to be a good situation for the Ticonderoga to be in. Wait, are those missiles going to miss? Oh, they're just not even close to the target yet. We might be able to destroy some of the modules aboard Yamato, which might mean that she's going to be unable to do effective range finding, or there we go, turret neutralized. Boom, boom, boom. We only have 99,000 points left to go. Yamato has definitely taken some damage, and she appears to be badly on fire, but other than that, she still has her 18-inch guns. I only have my missile systems left. Sorry, I only have my gun systems left. And the ship has about 10 times the health that I have now. So I'm a little concerned for my longevity. I really hope that the 5-inchers can do a scratch of damage. And then maybe... yeah, we're getting some damage. And keep in mind that the 5-inch gun that I have on the Ticonderoga is not exactly the 5-inch gun that you have on something like a Fletcher. I have a far more modern 5-inch gun. So it's entirely possible that my 5-inch gun actually does a lot more damage than my 305mm gun. Did we disable all the turrets on Yamato? I guess it's possible, but it feels a bit unlikely. She's not firing anyway, so maybe those harpoons of mine did just about enough damage to make this thing less of a threat. Ricochet. Oh, nope, she's firing, alright. Turn. Destroyed an AA gun. I'm not sure if that's exactly going to help me a whole lot. Overpen. Okay. Is my 305 still functioning? I think it is. Yep, it's functioning alright. The 305 on the helicopter deck. It makes no sense. But it is, it's amusing that you can do that with this game. I quite like that. Don't exactly think that Yamato is going to be winning this fight, but if she gets 2 or 3 hits in, that could be the end of the Ticonderoga. Oh, yep, there we go. There we go. And that's how a Yamato killed off a Ticonderoga class. Now, of course, you can make the case, well, you were starting within gun range of the Yamato. The Ticonderoga arguably would never allow that to happen. Yeah, probably. So, in this case, Yamato won. But in, let's say, a case where Ticonderoga spots Yamato at, I don't know, 100 kilometers out, she would easily win. So let's see if I can actually make this a bit less fair for Yamato by adding some different weapon systems. I'm going to remove the harpoons, I'm going to remove the 305, and I'm going to add some additional weapon systems. Let's say larger weapon systems. I can select only missiles. Cancel all and select only missiles. Apply. Oh, I also, of course, have to set up some nations which are using those missile systems. There. Apply. Okay, so what are we getting? Yeah, why not? Why not put a P500 Basalt missile on there? That should give these people something to worry about. This thing does 95,000 points of damage. Now, let's say we want to contrast that to the American Harpoon. That does 20,000 points of damage. But that is, I think, flat damage. That's not accounting for armor. So the armor on the Yamato was able to stop some of the damage. Now we got the P500 Basalt, which is just 95,000. We got the Muskets doing 32,000. You have a couple of Chinese weapon systems, which does 30,000. We have the Italian Automat. You got the American Standard Missile 6. But it is a missile launcher, but only deals with aerial threats. So it is not exactly going to help me in the fight against Yamato. I think we're going to have to deal with Yamato with a couple of Basalts. These are seriously sizable missile launchers, and I don't think we're exactly going to get a reload. You got one shot, and that's about it. Let's say I want to have these things be slightly better oriented. So I'm going to rotate them, and we just have to give up the helicopter deck. Because, well, the way that these things are taking up space, yeah, we're not exactly going to be housing a helicopter. Although you can. You can have a helicopter aboard your ship if you so desire. So I want to have another one. And I'm going to park that there. Rotate this around. And then we're going to move it into position. Get down. Get to the right. There. Nothing weird to see here. Just a couple of Russian missile systems aboard an American ship. As for other systems that could be useful, we got the Tomahawks. These do 45,000 points of damage, and it's a VLS. So these actually go right into the hull, and you can see that they do go quite into the hull quite far. I might be able to put those on the back of the ship. So let's say we're going to first sacrifice this gun, and then we're going to add a couple more cruise missiles here. Ideally side by side, but the game doesn't seem to want to do that. Maybe because I have them still snapping to a grid. Yeah, there we go. So now you can turn this ship into a very, very dangerous ship simply by having a ton of missile launchers on them. I'm not going to fill in all of these missile launchers because I don't really expect to need this many. Let's say, yeah, let's close this thing off, sort of. Oh, not that. Here. So I have my Basalt missiles, I have my harpoons, I have my Tomahawks, should be fine. Now, save that. This is Ticonderoga 2. Because it's definitely something very, very different from the base Ticonderoga. We're going to go back to main menu, and now we're going to have another fight with the Yamato. This time around, using some very sizable missiles. So, nope. See, there's the confusion. Battle, and we're going to fight Yamato. Let's go. Alright, Yamato, round 2. lock the target. Target locked, 21 kilometers out. I'm going to try and turn the ship around and keep outside of the range of those guns. But I'm not exactly sure what the range of the guns is. It's just something that I really do not want to get involved in. Missile systems. That's one. That is a really sizable missile. Of course, if you give Yamato a close-in weapon system, you can actually have her shoot down the incoming basalt. That is possible. In her current setup, she can't quite do that. Boom! Rangefinder destroyed. Yeah. Okay. See, when I'm able to get the first, let's say, couple of shots off with a huge missile like this, I can actually get a bit of damage in. Let's fire a couple of tomahawks. And you can actually see that the missile ports are opening first. And we're going to be sea skimming. I really love the look of this. I cannot push in on the missile any farther than that. But it's sufficient. It's sufficient. Yamato is not firing. So I'm not exactly eager to spend a lot of missiles. Although I can. I still have quite a few tomahawks left. Oh, I do seem to have about lost half my health. So Yamato is not exactly harmless. Boom, boom, boom. We got some damage in, but we're going to have to hit him again. 3 basalts. The fact that these missiles don't instantly deploy, but actually take a second to load, let's say a second to deploy, because they take a bit of time to actually open the missile ports, I think makes it all the better. Now here comes Yamato, and there's 1, 2, 3 basalts, and she's toast. Yeah, she's not going to survive that. Another beautiful model I found on the workshop is the Kirov class cruiser. It's a battle cruiser from the Russians. Very potent ship, but it does seem to lack a few things. Right now it has plenty of self-defense systems, and over here on the back you get a couple of guns, but what it does not have is missiles. So let's see if we can add those in ourselves. I'm going to cancel all. I'm going to say I want to have missiles. I want to have specifically Russian missiles. This means I get access to the anti-aircraft SAN-6. I also get access to the muskets and the Storm, which is anti-aircraft, and the basalts. So let's say the muskets, and I know they don't really fit on this ship, but we'll just have to kind of plunk these things down in various positions, pretending as if the ship had these systems installed. So mirror those, select the particular weapon system and press M. And then we're going to make sure that they have enough anti-aircraft systems / intercept missiles. I think this is the most reasonable version. Just kind of ignore those missile hatches for a second, if you will. Let's say it has a couple of these launchers, mirror and mirror. And we got a rangefinder, we got a big radar, we got another big radar. Do we need anything else? Like maybe a basalt on the back? Let's put those... Yeah, let's put those over port and starboard, much like I have my own. Whoops, first you deploy them like that. And then you rotate them with R. There we go. Mirror, off you go. So, save this thing. I'm going to say this is Sevastopol 2. And the Sevastopol 2 is now selected as my own ship. So I'm going to reselect the Ticonderoga. This way you select your own player ship. Now we go back to main menu. And with the battle setup, I can then select my enemy. This is not going to be an easy fight. This thing has a lot of firepower. The Sevastopol 2. Officer rank. Let's start far. So potentially we both have some options to deal with enemy missiles. Because this is going to be an absolute missile spam party. Here is the ship. The Sevastopol. Probably going to take her a second to get underway because she's a big girl. Yep, there come the missiles. That's 2 missiles incoming, 3. My own missiles are automatically going to intercept Come on. Now you can select with control, if you have your own ship selected, how many missiles you want to use to intercept. There's one. See who is intercepting? Oh, that was close. Target intercepted. There's another intercepted. Boom. And boom. Interestingly, these things never seem to miss. We are perfect with interceptions here. But this thing just keeps popping missiles, the Sevastopol. Now, with the amount of missile system that she has... Yeah, that's all the basalts firing. I think that we're going to have to try and overwhelm this ship with the sheer amount of missiles that we have aboard. So it's going to be likely a spam of Tomahawks, followed by the basalts of my own. I don't have that many missiles left. You can see that these standard missiles... that was about 8,000 hit points gone. Come on! No! Oh crap, a whole missile launcher got destroyed on the stern, so that's basically all my missiles gone. Thankfully, it seems that the Sevastopol has ceased fire. I think I also have some serious engine damage. Okay. Oh, you destroyed the stern, and that's where all the Tomahawks were. Okay. Oh, fine. We'll have to select the ship first. There. Press X to select the ship. And now 1, 2, 3, 4. I am not really under any illusion that we're going to be able to go through. Because, of course, my missiles are going to get intercepted just as much as theirs are. And there's one, there's two. Right. At this point, I'm a little disappointed with taking that main gun off the ship. Oh, we got him. One of the missiles got through, and the Sevastopol's badly burning. Maybe... No, I can't move. So, we're kind of stationary. Maybe we can still do something with the guns, but I kind of doubt it. As far as I can tell, there's no lead indicator, so you're going to have to sort of plan where the ship might be. And of course, you can also use your own shell impacts to gauge where you need to adjust your fire. Come on. Bit of damage. Because of her angle, she's not able to use her own guns. Long may that continue. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with how few missiles were able to make it through my defenses. Because that thing had a lot of missiles, and if it had launched them faster, I think it should have been able to take down my ships. Or my ship. Should have been able to take down the Ticonderoga. Yeah, I think I'll eventually be able to take this thing down. Yeah, my propellers got destroyed. And my rudder got destroyed because of that basalt impact on the stern. I might be able to take this ship down, but I'm gonna definitely need a tug to get home. Really, if she turns to port and brings those guns over, you can already see one of them looking at me over on the stern. And I'm only assuming that they're functional until the opposite has been proven. And this is how a Cold War scenario still devolves into a gun battle. Although, of course, let's say more in reality, you're far less likely to be able to survive all of these impacts. Yeah, I think eventually we would have taken her down. Oh, hold on. She's coming around. There come the guns. Can I start getting some damage in on the guns, maybe? Ah, they're shooting. No! I don't have the health for this. And I can't run. Take out the guns. Quick. Oh, we destroyed a module. I don't know exactly what, but I think one of the guns stopped firing. Ah, we're gone. Oh, well. Oh, well. Anyway, this is a fun game. I quite like it. I'm not like I said, I'm not well enough, I'm not patient enough with the designer, but using existing platforms and then putting additional weapon systems on them, or taking weapons off and, I don't know, turning the Ticonderoga into something that has, I don't know, the Soviet 152s. You can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things with this game, and that's what I really appreciate about it. In the developer sense, or let's say the development sense, it is far more liberating than what you get from Dreadnoughts, because that is still somewhat confined, and also does not have the ability to import ships from Steam, nor use mods that are also available from Steam. You can also play this thing in multiplayer. I don't have any experience with that. I'm not exactly sure if there are a lot of people playing it, but I suppose that you can play this thing in multiplayer. So that's NavalArt. Let me know down below in the comments if you want to see more of this game. I think it's nice to see. I might be able to organize a couple of weird and wonderful loadouts between various kinds of engagements. Between, let's say, the Arleigh Burke going up against, I don't know, the Kawachi or the Gearing, or a bunch of Gearings trying to take down the Cleveland. You can do all sorts of weird things with this game. Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, hope you had fun, and I'll see you soon for more missions, and more battles, and more videos.